Hello beautiful one, you're welcome back to the channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. So today we'll be achieving a style like this, that is A-line dress with cap sleeve, and we want to achieve inseam finishing. Yes, all in one. A-line dress, cap sleeve, inseam finishing, and a design like this. So keep watching and make sure you watch to the end and give this video a like. Let's get started. So to get started, we'll place our fabric on fold. Okay, so I folded this fabric based on the hip circumference of the child. Yeah, the hip circumference is 30 inches, even though kids do not have so much hip, but you can work with what you have depending on the age of the child. This is for 9 years old and her hip is 30 inches divided by 4, that is 7.5. So you take the hip circumference divided by 4 plus at least 3 inches. Okay, so depending on how wide you want the lower part to be, you can, or how wide you want the dress to be, you can take 3 to 4 inches extra. That is the hip divided by 4 plus at least 3 inches. So you can take 3, you can take 4, depending on how you want it to be free. Okay, so I'm using 3 inches. So the hip divided by 4 here is 7.5. So that is 7.5 plus 3 inches. So we have 11.5. So you place your fabric based on that. Then add seam allowance. Okay, so I'll be making use of 1 inch seam allowance. So you need to add seam allowance. So that will be around 12.5. Okay, so what we'll be having is 12.5. So now, after you have folded, you need to measure the length of your dress. So at the lower part, I'll be having this fabric there. Okay, I'll be making pleats with this fabric. So you need to minus the length of this part from the full length of your dress. So the full length is 34 inches. Okay, so and I want this other one to be around 4 inches or 5 inches. So let's see. So 4 inches or 4.5 inches is okay for me. So what I'll do now is to take off that part. So instead of measuring 34 inches, I'll measure at 29 inches. Then the other one will make it up. Or I'll measure at 30 inches. So I'm just trying to mark a starting point for us here, because this edge of the fabric will not be used, this satin fabric. Okay, so from here now, I would take 30 inches because of allowance for joining this part to that part that will pleat. So I'll use 30. I'll use 30 inches. I'll just connect it. So when you have marked the length of your dress, you're now going to mark the shoulder measurement. So here the shoulder is 12 inches divided by 2, that is 6. Okay, so even though we're going to add a sleeve here, I'm just marking it at that 6. It is a cap sleeve, so it's still okay. Even though I'll use half inch to add it, to join the sleeve, I'll just mark it exactly at the shoulder. Okay, then now we'll take the neckline. So for the neck width, I'll be using 2.5, and for the neck depth, I'll be using 3 inches. Okay, so that is it. I'll mark out my neckline. So it's 3 inches. So this is what I do if I want to have a rounded neck. So if I want it to really be round, I just go this way. Okay, so by the time you have done this, at the shoulder, when you mark your shoulder measurement, come down by ½ inch for shoulder slope and connect it to the neck width. Now you place your armhole depth. So the armhole depth is the same measurement you have at the shoulder, which is 6 inches. Okay, I can add ½ inch for ease. So let me make it 6.5. Then I'll just extend it here. All right, so now at this armhole line, or by the time you have created your armhole, this line is your chest line. So at that chest line now, we're placing the round body measurement divided by 4. So for kids like this, both their chest, their tummy, everything is just usually the same. Or you can use the biggest measurement. If the tummy is bigger, you use that area to measure your round measurement. So that is how it is for this child. I use her tummy, which is same as her waist. Okay, so that is 28 inches divided by 4, that is 7 inches. So, but to add ease, knowing that this dress will be free, we would add like 1.5 inches ease, okay? So normally the round body measurement divided by 4 is 7, plus 1.5 inch for ease. That is it, plus seam allowance of 1 inch. Okay, so this is what we have. I hope you can see this. So when you have marked this one, you now go to the lower part. This is now where you mark the hip measurement divided by 4 plus at least 3 inches. So my measurement at this point is not up to what I need. So I'm just going to shift it again and mark my draftings all over. So I didn't check that, okay? I didn't check that. So I'll have to place my shoulder measurements again, my neck width and all that. So don't just be confused. Follow what I have explained initially. Alright guys, let's continue. So I've created my neckline again. So at this point now, we're taking the hip measurement divided by 4 plus at least 3 inches, then seam allowance, okay? So hip measurement divided by 4, 7.5. It is plus 3 inches. So like I said, I'm using 3 inches. You can use up to 4. Then 1 inch seam allowance. There it is. So now you connect from this point to that point, okay? So just go this way. And this is what we have. So when you have marked it like this, I hope you can see this. Then you can just add ½ inch at the shoulder for joining the back and the front at the shoulder, okay? So I usually do that, just ½ inch. So this is my ½ inch for joining the back and front and the shoulder. Don't forget to mark your armhole curve. Okay, so we're almost forgetting that. So you need to mark your armhole curve. So just connect to this point where you measured your round body. You go ahead and cut. It's very simple. So now we'll use this to cut the back, okay? So now to cut the back, you're going to leave ½ inch before placing the front, okay? And this is the reason I'm cutting the back and the front separately. Normally, if you want to make this kind of dress without opening at the back, you can cut the back and the front together. So why am I doing this? I want to fix a cap sleeve and I want it to be inseam, okay? So just follow the tutorial, don't skip any part. At the end, you'll see the reason I did this. I'll also show you another one that I did without doing this, okay? So just follow the tutorial. So for this one, we want to achieve inseam finishing with cap sleeve, okay? So that's why I'm doing this. So by the time you have placed it like this, leaving ½ inch before placing your front, the only difference now will be the neckline. So I want to mark the initial measurement we have for the shoulder. So from that point, we are coming down by 1 inch, okay? So the back neckline will just be 1 inch depth, but the width definitely will be the same, okay? So from here, I'm coming down by 1 inch. So that's why I actually drew that line. That is the initial shoulder line. So just mark it. Now we extend it to the seam allowance, the shoulder seam allowance. And this is just it. So I'll go ahead and cut. So now I've cut out the back. I'm now going to open it up, okay? So just open it up as if we're going to have a zipper, but we're not going to have a zipper, just opening at the neck line area. But we're going to just open this one up all the way down. So having gotten the back and the front, we're going to now use this to cut our lining. Okay, so the lining will be exactly what we have here. So let's do that. So I have cut out the lining for it, okay? So we have our main fabric here and the lining. So what you do right now is to separate them, and you're going to stitch lining to lining, main fabric to main fabric. So let's start with the front. This is our lining for the front. You're now going to take the lining for the back, okay? Then you place them together. So we're going to stitch at the shoulder, only at the shoulder. We're just going to stitch at the shoulder. This is for the lining. Then for the main fabric, you do the same thing. You place your fabric like this. You're going to place good sides facing each other. Good sides facing each other. Then you stitch at the shoulder. Yes, only at the shoulder for now. Okay, so just stitch up the shoulder, and I'll show you the next thing to do. So let me do just that. So I've stitched the shoulders. Okay, so now this is what you do. You place the right side facing you, and this is the lining. Then you take your main fabric. Okay, then you place them good sides facing each other. Just place them good sides facing each other like this. Okay, you can see what I have here. Then you go now and stitch the neckline from the back all the way to the back again. So just match them up at the shoulder here. Okay, make sure they are aligning at the shoulder here. So now you just go ahead and stitch up the neckline. Then we'll move to the next step. Okay, so now after stitching the neckline, you just notch it. Okay, so we're going to notch it. So after notching it now, you can now turn it. Okay, then you iron it and you iron the neckline very well. So after ironing, we are going to just set this aside and prepare the sleeve. Okay, so let me show you how to cut the cap sleeve. So for your cap sleeve, you're going to place your fabric on fold using the round bicep measurement of the child. The round bicep, that's the round arm, okay, the bigger side of the arm. So for this child, it is 9 inches. Divide by 2, you're dividing it by 2. So divide by 2, that is 4.5. So what I'll do is to measure 4.5, then add ½ inch for seam allowance, which is 5 inches, okay? So I would like to cut my fabric like this, because this is satin. We want to follow the grain line. So I'm cutting at 5 inches. So you're just going to fold your fabric based on that. The round bicep measurement plus ½ inch for seam allowance, okay? So by the time you have folded your fabric based on the round arm measurement, you now mark your length, okay? So I just mark out a starting point. So for children of 9 years and that range, I use 5 inches for the length of their cap sleeve. Then for children younger, I use like 3 to 4 inches, okay? So we are using 5 inches here for the length of our cap sleeve. Okay, then we'll add ½ inch for turning the lining, because we're going to add lining to it. So this is 5.5. Okay, this is the length of our cap sleeve, 5.5. So it's a matter of preference. Sometimes you might decide to make it smaller, but this is the length that I want. Okay, so at this line, remember we're marking the bicep measurement divided by 2 plus ½ inch for seam allowance, that is 5 inches. So when you have done it this way, what you do now is to connect from this point to this point in a curved way, not just straight. That you're going to make a curve from this point. Just make a curve. Just make a curve to touch this point here. Okay, so like this. Then go ahead and cut it out. So this is it for cap sleeve. Okay, so with this now I'll cut the other one, but just notch it at this top here. So just notch it slightly. So with this I'll cut for the other hand and the lining as well. So I'll be using the same fabric for the lining. So let me do that. So I've cut out the lining. So I'll just place good sides facing each other like this. Okay, then I'll go ahead and stitch. So I'll just stitch just this lower part. After stitching this side, I'll turn it to the other side, then top stitch round here. So let me do that for the two of them. Okay, so I'm done preparing my sleeve. You can see what we have here. Okay, so now I'll get the dress. So now this is the bodice or the dress. We're going to fix our cap sleeve. Okay, so let me just smoothen out this area. All right, so now I'll just fold it again and notch it here. That I can align it to the shoulder. So you just watch where you want to be the outer part, place it this way, and you flip it over. So now you're going to pin it down at the shoulder here. So when you're doing this, take away the lining. We are not needing the lining for now. Okay, so pin this only on the main fabric at the shoulder here. Make sure you're aligning it the midpoint of your sleeve to the shoulder. Then at this side of your armhole, you're going to mark out your seam allowance. So we're marking out 1 inch for our seam allowance. Then I also mark out 1.5 inch for the opening. You know, we're talking of cap sleeve here. So we're not going to stitch it all the way to the end of the sleeve. We're going to give a little opening, okay? So you can use 1.5 or you can use 2 inches. So let me just make use of 2 inches, okay? So this is where we're stitching it to. So you do the same thing at this side. Mark out your seam allowance, then take in 2 inches. So this opening depends on what you want, how open you want it to be, okay? So for this child, or for this very measurement, 2 inches opening is okay. So now this is where we are going to stitch our cap sleeve up to, like this point now. So after pinning it at the shoulder here, you just bring this one here as well, okay? So you also bring this one, you pin it at that part where we marked 2 inches, you pin it down there like this. That's the way we'll stitch it. So when you pin it down, you now pin up to the shoulder so that whatever excess you have there, you can pleat it. But if you don't have any excess at that end, still okay. So you're going to just pin it to the shoulder like this. So just pin it to the shoulder. You do the same thing from this side as well. So by the time you just pin it to the center, whatever excess you have, you pleat it down there. So now go ahead and stitch it and you see what we have, okay? So you can see my cap sleeve, okay? This is all we have. By the time we arrange it where you see it. So this is the little pleat I talked about. So if you don't want this pleat, you want it to be all smooth here. Instead of taking the bicep measurement, instead of taking the bicep measurement, you would measure from here to this point where we stopped. This is the measurement you will use to fold your fabric. So remember when I wanted to fold my fabric for my cap sleeve, I used the bicep measurement divided by 2. But if you don't want this pleat, like I said, you want to just get it plain here, smooth here, you would get your dress, remove your seam allowance, okay, remove your seam allowance, then measure the space you want to have. The space you want to have after your cap sleeve. Then from that point to the other point, remember you're doing this on the 2 sides. From this point to the other point is what you now fold your fabric on. So by the time you make your sleeve, it will just blend with this measurement. Or after cutting your sleeve, you can, align it here and see what it will give you. Then just make the adjustment. So I just hope you understand. But for me, I like this little pleat because it's, kids wear. So when you have done this, we have fixed your cap sleeve. Remember we did this only to the main fabric. Yes, we fixed it only on the main fabric, okay? So what you will do is this now. We now want to close up this part of our armhole, okay? So you would just follow what I'm doing carefully. You just want to place it in such a way that you would understand. This is our cap sleeve only on the main fabric. Now you bring your lining piece from this side. You bring your lining piece, then take in this your cap sleeve. Just place it in such a way that it will go out of the way. We want to blend back our armhole, the armhole of our main fabric to the armhole of the lining. Okay, we want to blend it back like this, good sides facing each other. So take away your sleeve, blend back the armhole this way. Okay, so you can just pin this sleeve down somewhere here so that it won't get in the way when you're stitching. Just pin it down somewhere. So just place it this way. Then, like I said, the lining and your main fabric, the armhole, just like the way you cut it, that's how you are going to blend it back. Don't mind the sleeve now. So just put the sleeve out of the way and blend back your armhole lining to the main fabric. So don't forget, match it up at the shoulder as well. So you can see what I have done here now. I have matched up my shoulders back, the good side of the lining to the good side of the main fabric, and this is the shoulder. So the cap sleeve is inside, you know, the cap sleeve is inside here. So we'll go ahead and stitch our shoulder. Okay, by the time we stitch it, we'll now turn it out. So this is the reason I opened up the back. Remember I told you I will explain it. This is the reason I opened up the back, because if you're going to do this and the back is closed, you will not be able to turn it. So the back has to be open for you to be able to turn, to bring out this sleeve. So I will show you the one that I did without opening the back. You'll see the difference. Okay, so watch to the end. And if I've not given this video a like up to now, please give it a like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. When you subscribe, also turn on the notification bell. Okay, hit on all notifications. So I'm just, you know, blending the armhole. So after doing this now, I'll go ahead and stitch. Okay, I'll just go ahead and stitch it. So I'm not stitching it to touch the cap sleeve, just this seam is what I would stitch on. Okay, so by the time I do this and turn it, it will become clearer to you. So let me go ahead and stitch it. So whatever I do to this side, I'm also going to do to the other side of our armhole. Okay, so taking your cap sleeve away and blending your armhole. Simple as that. Blend up your armhole and stitch, making sure that right sides are facing each other. Okay, good side facing good side. This is the wrong side, this is the wrong side. So good sides has to face each other. So by the time you stitch, you have a neat work. So I'm done matching up the two sides. Okay, let me just go and stitch it and I'll show you how to turn it out and we'll proceed. Okay, so I'm done stitching the armhole, as you can see. Okay, so now you would turn it to the other side, removing, that is, okay, let's just use this area. This is the front side and this is the back side. Okay, so you're now going to just place your hand under this front side, then try to push in this back through the shoulder. So this is where we're turning it from, through this shoulder. So now you can just try to remove the pin you have here, the pin that I used to place my sleeve down. So I removed it so I don't hook any of the fabrics. Okay, so through that shoulder there, start pulling out the back. Just bring it out like this. So like I said, if you don't open the back, you will not be able to do this. You will not be able to do it. And you can see we have very clean work inside here. Okay, so this is it. You bring out everything. You do same to this side. Okay, just push the back and bring it out through the front here from the shoulder. So I'm trying to check if I have anything here. Just pull it out. So it's when you practice it, you would understand. It will be clearer to you. Just follow the teachings, okay? So this is what we have right here. So this is our sleeve area and the shoulder looking very neat, okay? Like I said, we want to achieve inseam. Don't worry, I'll show you, like I said, the one I didn't use this method. You'll see what I did here. But for now, let's finish up this one. So when you have gotten to this stage, you now want to close up the sides. Okay, so it's time to close up the sides. And how do you do that to achieve inseam finishing? So just place them together. Normally you would have just gone to stitch like this, but no, we are not doing that. So we're just going to place the main fabric to the main fabric and lining to lining, good sides facing each other. So match them up at this point. Okay, this point here, just match them up like this. Then you go ahead and stitch using your seam allowance. So I used 1 inch seam allowance. So I'll go ahead and stitch it all the way down to 1 inch. That's using my 1 inch seam allowance. I'll stitch all the way down. From this point as well, I'll stitch all the way down. But I would leave 1 inch here open. By the time I stitch to this point, I'll leave about 1 inch open. So I want to join the other fabric that I'll pleat before completing or before completely stitching it to the end. Okay, so that's why I'll be leaving 1 inch here. So I'll show you. Same, okay, at the lining you don't need to do that. You can stitch up all the lining here, because the other fabric we'll be adding here will not get to the lining at all. We're not putting it here, we're only adding it to this main fabric. Okay, so for the lining, stitch it up completely and we'll hem the lower part. While for this one, I'll leave 1 inch that I'll use to join the other one before completely closing it. So let me do that and get back to you. So after closing the sides, this is what it looks like inside. Okay, so we're going to give it a very good press. Yes, we're going to iron it very well. Let me just cut out my threads. So you open up your seams. You open up your seams like this, iron it down very well, then you close it up. Okay, so I'll do all that behind the camera, but let us continue our tutorial so that we can just round up the video without it being too long. So just make sure you iron everything neatly and you have it. So we'll go ahead now to close the back before hemming the lower part of this one. We need to close up this back, then hem the lower part of the lining, then add up the other fabric we need to add up here. So now to close your back, just like the way you closed the sides, that is how you close the back. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. But for the back, we'll have a little opening at the top here. Okay, a little opening at the top here. We'll have a little opening. So let me measure like about 4 inches is okay. So we'll have like 4 inches opening. Okay, so just measure these 2 points like this. Mark how mark the length of your opening. Then you're going to stitch down. So like I said, 4 inches is okay. So I'll use 4 inches. So now we'll close up by that 1/2 inch. Remember when we're cutting the back, just 1/2 inch that we kept aside. So we'll close it up by that 1/2 inch. I'll do same on the lining. Mark out the 4 inches for the opening. Then you would stitch it all the way down by 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm done stitching the back. Okay, you can see what we have, leaving this space open. Okay, so now this is what we're going to do. Match it up with the lining. This is the main fabric, this is the lining. Match it up like this. You match it up, then you go ahead and close this one, the lining and the fabric. You go ahead and stitch it together. Go ahead and stitch it together here. So if you're going to add like you're going to have a button and a buttonhole, what you will do for your buttonhole, you make your strap like this. Remember, this is how it will be. Then your button will be here. So but for me, I'm not making buttonhole, rather I want to make strap that will be tied, that will be used to tie this side. Okay, so let me show you what I'm trying to achieve. So let me show you. This is it. Okay, you can see this opening at the back here. Okay, so instead of button, like if we were to use button, we'll have something like this here. Then to, we'll fit to hook the button. But in this case, we're using the rope or strap to tie. Okay, so we can just tie it whichever way we want here. Okay, whichever way we want, we can tie it. So for you to achieve something like this, either this or the one that would have button, this is what you would do in this aspect. You would place your loop for your button, it would come out like this. This is the good side of your fabric. So you will place it inside like this. You place it inside. That is the loop for your button. Place it inside. So that when you stitch at the inside, you will have it like this. Let me show you. At the inside, you would have it like this. Okay, hope you can see. Then since I'm using straps, this is the good side of my strap. For this strap, I just cut out piece of fabric that measures 1 inch. Then I folded it, stitched, and turned it to the other side. So this is the side that will go in, leaving what I need for stitching here, like this here. Okay, so this is how I place it. So I'll hold it down with my pin there. I'll just hold it down with my pin, then I'll go ahead and stitch it. Then I'll do same for this side. I'm putting this one. If it's button you're going to use, your loop will just be on one side. Then you now fix your button later on. So I'll pin it. So when you have placed your loop or your strap like this, then match this one up here. Okay, match it up like so. Pin it, then we'll go ahead and stitch here. So we are stitching with just 1/4 of an inch. You stitch this way to this side. So let me just stitch it up so that you see what we have, okay, to be clearer to you. So I have stitched it. It's now time to turn it so you understand, okay? So we're just going to turn everything to the good sides, like this, so you can see what I have here. Okay, so you go ahead and give it a very good press that everything would relax. So this is it. So we're going to iron it very well. So you can see this is our dress, and inside we'll be having it very neat. By the time we turn to the other side, you see everything is neat inside. Okay, this is inseam. So all we need to do is to iron it out neatly. At the shoulder, at the sleeve area, you can see no seam is showing. At the armhole, everything is hidden. So what we need here now is thorough ironing. Then we'll hem the lower part now. For the lining, we're going to hem it. Then for this main fabric, we'll pleat the other fabric to reach. So that is it for this one. I'll go ahead and finish the lower parts, okay? And this is what it will look like. This is what it will look like. Just pleat this one here. So the difference between this one and the other one, like I said earlier, for this one we have opening at the back. That is we have to cut the back open. But by the time I iron it neatly, by the time I give it a very good press, it would look good as well. Okay, to look good. So the difference between this and this is actually to achieve that inseam finishing at the armhole and the sleeve area. So for this one that I didn't cut open the back, after stitching every other part, I joined the sleeve. That is, the armhole was just open with the rough edges. I joined the sleeve, then I used bias tape to finish up the rough edges, as you can see. So I used bias tape. Then this side that is left, I folded it. Don't know if you can see this. So I had to fold it in. Remember, by the time we fixed our sleeve, we had this opening. I had to fold whatever we had there. And you can see my bias tape for neat finishing. So aside that, every other thing is the same. Let me show you the inner. So this is the inner look of it. This is the inner look. So you can decide to do whichever one you want, either the one you open the back and stitch it like I did, or you go ahead to just sew it normally. Then use bias tape to close the rough edge of your sleeve area. Then this side, we also closed it the same way I closed this one at the side here. Okay, so I just decided to show you that. Then at this point, after joining this to the other fabric, I also used bias tape to finish up the edge. So that is just what I'll be doing on this one. Then I'll give it a very good press. So this is how it would look. So you can actually make this tie without lining and still achieve neat finishing inside. Okay, so you can use fabric like scuba and you will not need lining inside. So what you will do is you have to weave the edges, okay, or interlock the edges. And at the neckline, you have to use facing to make this place neat, okay. Then for the one with opening at the back, if you like, you can add zipper. Yes, there are this, some of this kind of styles also have zipper at the back, just like what you can see on the screen. So if you look closely, you'll see that there is zipper on that one, okay. So you can actually achieve this style in different ways, different ways, and it will be beautiful. So I hope you love this video. Please give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so, and turn on the notification bell, so whenever I upload a new video like this, you'll be able to get notifications, okay. So thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Remain blessed.